Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Renee. Please excuse the very loud noises you can probably may hear going on next door. Hello, Editing Renee here. Straight off the bat, just to say that when I recorded this, I had some pretty interesting settings on my camera, and it's caused what I can tell is a slight blur to the footage. So my movements don't seem as seamless as they normally would. Most people won't notice it, I'm sure, but it bugs me to no end. I do apologise if your eyes get sore from this, but I was not about to go back and re-record it. Anyway, enjoy the video, and sorry about the subpar footage. Bye! Today we are going to reflect upon the year of reading that was 2022. I have now posted my best top favorite books that I read in 2022, so you can go hear me gush about those books and see what my favorites were for the year. But this video is a look at my goals and intentions that I set this time last year, the year that we've just had, and setting some new goals for the year ahead. Yeah, I made this video this time last year and I really enjoyed it. I love sitting down with my silly little notebook and making plans or setting intentions for the year ahead. I feel like it really focuses and grounds me and all that kind of woo-woo stuff, but it really does help ease any anxiety I have around this time of year. And it's just like a fun thing to look back on at the end and see where I've come, or like how I might have changed. Nothing in this video is like set in concrete. I don't have to follow these things. It's just kind of nice to have guidelines and something to focus on while the world around us is falling to pieces. I also thought it would be fun to look at my Storygraph stats as well, really quickly. I like numbers and patterns, and to see if anything has majorly changed for me in the year. So 2022 versus 2021. We read 75 books this year. Last year we read 52, so a significant jump, I would say. Oh, this shows us kind of like where we peaked and where we troughed throughout the years. Definitely more kind of ups and downs last year compared to this year. You can see, August, both years has been quite low. And July last year was major. I wonder why that was. Moods, they are kind of interesting to me, although I don't really follow them a lot. I mean, I like to read reflective, dark, emotional and challenging stuff, and that has not changed all that much. Pace, again, not much has changed. Page numbers, yeah, I mean, under 300 is like my sweet spot. I love a short book. But it's nice to see that I've kind of read a bit more of the other ones, like bigger books as well. Non-fiction versus fiction was one of the ones that I was more interested in, because I've definitely wanted to try to read more non-fiction, which I did this year, and that's great to see. Genres: literary, contemporary, memoir, LGBTQI+. Yeah, short stories has kind of gone down, which is interesting. Didn't read a lot of great short story collections this year. Most read authors: Elena Ferrante. She was always going to be number one, because I am reading her entire body of work this year. Sigrid Nunez, Deborah Levy, Zadie Smith, Rachel Cusk, Usual Subjects. And yeah, interesting compared to last year. One man in last year's most read authors, but none this year. And star rating. Star rating has gone up slightly. So we're reading better books, in my opinion, better quality books. I definitely started using more of the 0.5, 0.75 starring system that they have in Storygraph, because sometimes a book just doesn't quite feel like a 3 but doesn't feel like a 4 or a 3.5. So having those mid kind of quarter points is quite helpful sometimes. Pretty much the same though. A few more higher star rated books this year. So that's my Storygraph. Okay, let us now get into the looking back at my 2022 goals, seeing how I did, and then we'll set some new ones for the year to come. Reading goals for 2022 were read 75 books. Tick. I am at 75. I'm happy at being at 75. I don't feel any pressure to like do more or like try to push the boat out. I'm happy. I set that goal. It's the most books that I've ever read in any year, ever. And I'm happy with that. I'm in the middle of 2 books at the moment, which is kind of annoying because I don't think I'll finish them before the end of the year, which I would like to just to kind of wrap them up. But yeah, I'm not pressuring myself to like try to do anything more than what I set out to do, and I've done it. I feel good. First one ticked off the list. Next one that I wrote was read more from my shelves. No idea what that means. Where else would I be getting my books from if not my own bookshelf? I guess, yeah, it was probably a way to like not buy as many books. I don't know. What was I thinking? Who knows? Obviously crazy thoughts, because the very next one that I wrote was use the local library more, which completely contradicts the goal that you just wrote. So maybe I had had a few drinks when I wrote this list. I mean, I didn't use the library as much as I would have liked to this year, like physically, but I did start using and have been loving Libby, which is the app where you can download books to your library, to your phone, from your local library, and also audiobooks, which I've been using a lot and I have been loving. So I have been using my library, but just not in physical form. So I guess that kind of counts. Next one was read more queer, non-binary stories / writers. I feel like I did a better job at this than I did the year before. So I read Fresh Water by Ekweke Emezi, absolutely loved that. The Secret Lives of Church Ladies, a great short story collection, such a great book, absolutely loved that one. I did a reread of Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin, got so much more out of it the second time round. That Queer Longing was just sad and devastating and heartbreaking, and I loved that reread. Autobiography of Red by Anne Carson, a queer coming of age story, beautiful writing. Never thought that I would be into Greek myth, but absolutely loved that book. Paradise Rot, the most kind of visceral reading experience that I've had this year, that will always have like a specific kind of like clammy feeling on my body when I think about it. Loved that book. Yeah, I feel like I've definitely perhaps read more of those types of stories, but I would still like to branch out and read more by non-binary writers. So we get in there, we're building a nice habit, it feels good. I'm proud of myself for what I did do, but I know I can do better. Next one I wrote was read more short stories. I feel like I didn't do so well with this. I started off with the best intentions, like I was reading quite a few short stories at the beginning of the year, and to be honest, a lot of them just weren't doing it for me. They were kind of like ones I didn't really enjoy, or I just felt really kind of nothing about them. I felt a bit discouraged about it, so I kind of just stopped picking them up. I'm thinking like weird might be quite good for short stories. I know Bliss Montage is supposed to be along that vein, so I think that'll be one that I try to pick up in the new year. Okay, this next one is just like embarrassing that I even wrote this down or thought that I could achieve this, because like, who are you fooling? Honestly. Read 2 to 3 hours a day. Like, do I not know that I have a full-time job and that kind of reading time is absolutely unrealistic? Way too unachievable, and like I definitely am not setting myself any kind of standards like that this year. Next thing I wrote was annotating, highlighting, treat my book more like a journal. Again, what does that even mean? I did, however, try a lot more annotating and not journaling, but underlining this year. I love to dog ear, and I've come up with this cool little system that I'm quite proud of. But I found that when I was dog earing at the top, the books were getting like really uneven, like quite fat on the top, and then not going back in the shelf very nicely. So I developed this little system. Anything on the left page gets a bottom dog ear, and anything on the right page gets a top dog ear. And it evens it out more. It also means that if you have like a double-sided page or like a back-to-back page, you don't have to decide like which one gets dog-eared, because you can do it on both, you know? That's a cute little system that I've developed for myself in 2022, and I will let any of you use it if you like. Next I wrote listen to audiobooks, which I've definitely been doing this year. Secret Lives of Church Ladies, The Love Songs of W.B. Du Bois. I've also been pairing my physical books with audiobooks, but it's been a really good way to enhance my reading experience this year. I read and listened to Corrections by Jonathan Franzen. White Teeth was another one that I did that with. Anything that has like a big cast of characters, it helps to have a voice to differentiate, especially when there's dialogue or there's lots going on. White Teeth, Lenny Henry narration of the first part is so good. Absolutely love it. The other thing that I really have enjoyed is poetic books, or really prosy writing is nice to kind of be read to, because then it feels quite soft and calming. Autobiography of Red is one of those books that I read and listened to. Definitely recommend that because of the prose, and hearing the kind of rhythm read aloud was so fun. There's so many. I love an audiobook now. It's like a nice thing to help focus you as well. Big audio book fan up in here. Next goal I wrote was curb my spending. I definitely feel like I did that this year. I mean, I still bought a lot of books. Didn't use it to cope with stress as much as I did in the past, and have been much more intentional about what I am buying, the kinds of books I'm buying, the editions of books I'm buying. Making those decisions just means that I'm not buying things kind of like sporadically like I was, or quite as much as I was. It's definitely more about building the kind of library that I look at and feel good about. Books to me are like treasured objects, and as much as I love kind of writing in them and I'm not precious about them, I still want to be able to look at them and like feel pleasure and joy, not just about the words that they have inside them, but also just the way that they look. I like things to look good, so yeah, we're doing better. Next one I wrote was read outside my comfort zone. I had a little list. I wrote like big men, sci-fi, fantasy, and classics. Now let me just explain what big men is. I think I meant by this like books written by men that are big, so like 500 pages plus, which I did. I read a Jonathan Franzen and I enjoyed it. I read a little bit outside my comfort zone. I didn't read any sci-fi or fantasy, but I did read some classics. Yeah, I mean, I don't have any kind of like genre specific goals this year. I'm just don't really feel like I need to put those parameters around myself this year. If I read those things, great. If I don't, also great. Okay, the next goal that I wrote was read Māori / New Zealand writers. I didn't do the best at this. I kind of started off with the best intentions, but I don't know what happened, but I did read a really beautiful collection of poetry, Five by Nicole Tetekuia. You've probably heard me talk about that on my channel before. A collection of poetry about being a young Māori woman in a contemporary colonized environment. Really good. Loved it. Related to it so much. I read Greta and Veldin by Rebecca K. Riley. A fun a family saga romance novel set in Auckland. So it was so much fun to read a novel set in a familiar place and kind of recognize things and be like, oh my god, I was hungover at that bar like just last week. Yeah, it was good fun and I really enjoyed that. What else did I read? Yeah, no, I didn't do the best. Like, I didn't do great. So that's definitely something I want to keep up with in the year to come. Second to last one that I wrote was finish an author's catalogue, which I am like very, very, very close to doing. This year I chose to read all of Elena Ferrante's English translated work, and I have one book to go. I'm like partway through. It's definitely not going to happen before the end of the year, but it will happen. I will get there, and I think I'm going to do like a separate video on that and her novels and kind of rank them and stuff, so we'll go into that more. I feel good about mostly finishing it. I've only got one book to go, so we're good. We're basically there. I could have lied and said I finished it, but the last one that I wrote on here is just so weird. Like, I wrote no TBR and just go with it. Like, okay, who am I? Who is this woman and what was she thinking? Right, that's the old goals. Let's look ahead to 2023. Yeah, I've written down some short goals. I don't have as many as I did for last year, so don't you worry. Reading goals for 2023. First one is read 100 books. I'm going for it. I figure like if there's any opportunity for me to do it, it is this year. I just want to do it once. I'm not trying to like read 500 books, 200 books in a year. I just want to read 100 books this year. If I only read 50 books the next year, that's fine too. Like, I've done it once. I don't need to keep doing it. I just want to do it once. This is the year. 100 books, baby. Rachel Cusk is the writer that I've decided I want to read the remainder of her catalogue that I haven't already read. I have 11 of her books, I think, to read. I'm looking forward to that. I am wondering how fatigued I'm going to feel about her writing by the end of it though, so we will see. Okay, the next goal that I have is read all 23 for 2023 books. So there's this tag going around on Bookstagram that I've been tagged in where you just kind of list a bunch of books, 23 books that you want to read in 2023. Last year I did 22 for 2022 and I failed miserably because I had all these like grand ideas of reading like Sylvia Plath's unabridged journals, and it just wasn't realistic to what I was in the mood for. So I've just actually looked at my shelves and gone, I really want to read that this year, and I think I'm gonna actually be able to do it. So yeah, this year's list is much more achievable and excites me a lot more and isn't as daunting. So yeah, I just added that on here to kind of keep myself accountable. I will probably do a video on that list as well, just to share those with you. Next goal is to read more backlist. I feel like I do read backlist, but just want to make it more of a goal this year, kind of help me focus on a lot of the backlist stuff that I do have. Not get distracted by shiny new books, although they are always a distraction. Keep a reading journal. Said reading journal here. Little thoughts that I have about books. Notes to help me with my wrap-ups, because sometimes I can forget. Like, I'll have a thought while I'm reading and then it kind of disappears from my brain at crucial moments, like sitting down in front of a camera. Quick little notes, maybe like 3 words, a sentence or 2, and then that's it. I want to have somewhere that I know that I can go to write all this stuff down. So this is it. And then the last goal that I've written down is a monthly TBR. Now, I don't normally do TBRs, but we're trying to get to 100 books this year, and I need to focus. I'm gonna need a lot of help with that, I think. It's not gonna be as easy as I think it will. I don't think it's easy. It's gonna be hard. I mean, I might get sick of it after the first month and quit it altogether, but I need some focus. I need something to focus on at the beginning, just so that I don't feel extremely overwhelmed. That is the video. We're all done. We are all set for the new year. I'm very excited. I have so many good books on my shelf that are just like waiting to be read that I can't wait for. Tell me how many books you want to read in 2023. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, happy and safe new year. I love and appreciate all of you. We'll see you next time. Ka kite.